Hey everyone, welcome back. April is here, and with it comes some exciting changes for your Social Security payments that you won't want to miss. Whether you're budgeting for the month, planning your bills, or simply checking when your payment will hit your account, knowing the exact dates can make your life a lot easier. But this April, it's not just about the usual schedule. There are significant shifts happening that could directly impact your benefits, and these changes might be more important than ever. First, let's break down the payment schedule. If you're receiving Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your payment will land on Tuesday, April 1st. No need to wait for an early deposit like we saw last month. For those receiving both SSI and regular Social Security, or if your benefits began before May 1997, your deposit will be on Thursday, April 3rd. Now, if your benefits started after May 1997, your payment depends on your birth date. Those born between the 1st and 10th of the month will see their funds on Wednesday, April 9th, while those born between the 11th and 20th can expect theirs on Wednesday, April 16th. Lastly, if your birthday falls between the 21st and 31st, your deposit will arrive on Wednesday, April 23rd. But here's the twist: April isn't just about payments. Some major reforms are shaking up Social Security as we know it. The Social Security Fairness Act is finally in effect, ending a long-standing policy that reduced benefits for millions of public sector retirees. If you've been affected by these reductions in the past, you may see a significantly higher payment starting this month, a win for many. However, not all the news is good. The reinstatement of a controversial overpayment policy could mean big changes for recipients who have received excess funds in the past. Plus, new identity verification rules might make it harder to access services, especially if you're not tech-savvy. If you're looking to stay ahead of all these changes, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. I'll keep you updated on everything you need to know about Social Security payments and policy shifts. Let's dive in. As we dive into the heart of April 2025, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Social Security payments. If you're one of the millions of people who rely on these payments each month, you probably already know how crucial it is to keep track of when the checks are coming. For some, this monthly deposit is more than just a check. It's the lifeline that ensures bills are paid, groceries are bought, and life moves forward without too many bumps along the way. So, if you're sitting there wondering when your Social Security payment is going to hit your bank account this month, you're in the right place. Stick with me as we break down everything you need to know about your April 2025 payments, along with some important updates that could affect you. April isn't just a month of warm weather and springtime blooms. This year, it's bringing some pretty significant changes to how Social Security works, especially for those who depend on these benefits. We're talking about changes that could impact how much you get, how you access your funds, and even how you go about verifying your identity with the Social Security Administration, SSA. There's a lot happening in the world of Social Security, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss out on some important updates that directly affect you. First, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the payment schedule. If you're someone who gets Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your payment will be arriving on Tuesday, April 1st. This is a little different from previous months because, in March, some of you saw early deposits, but that's not the case for April. For those who receive both SSI and regular Social Security or have been receiving benefits since before May 1997, your payment is scheduled for Thursday, April 3rd. Pretty simple so far, right? But here's where it gets a little more personalized. If your benefits started after May 1997, your payment will depend on your birth date. If you were born between the 1st and the 10th of the month, your payment will arrive on Wednesday, April 9th. Those born between the 11th and the 20th can expect their payment on Wednesday, April 16th. And for those with birthdays between the 21st and the 31st, mark your calendars for Wednesday, April 23rd. Now, I know that for some of you, waiting for that check to hit can feel like an eternity. But here's something to keep in mind: if you're signed up for direct deposit, you'll usually see that money hit your account early that morning. Paper checks, however, might take a little longer to arrive, depending on where you live and how your local mail service is operating. This isn't the end of the world, but it's always a good idea to double-check your payment details each month. Mistakes can happen, and catching them early can save you a lot of headaches down the road. So, that's the payment schedule for April, but there's more going on here, much more. In fact, April 2025 is shaping up to be one of the most important months in Social Security history, and it's not just about when you'll get your check. Some long-awaited reforms are finally taking effect, And while some of these changes will bring relief to certain groups of recipients, others might cause new challenges, especially for those who rely on Social Security to make ends meet. One of the most significant changes happening in April is the implementation of the Social Security Fairness Act. This is a huge deal, especially for public sector retirees. For years, public sector workers like teachers, firefighters, and police officers have faced reductions in their benefits due to the Windfall Elimination Provision (WEP) and the Government Pension Offset (GPO). These rules penalized people who had pensions from non-covered jobs, even if they also paid into Social Security. It was a frustrating and unfair situation that impacted millions of retirees. But now, that's all changing. The Social Security Fairness Act has officially taken effect, and it repeals both the WEP and the GPO. For the 3.2 million public sector retirees affected by these rules, this is fantastic news. Many of them will now see higher monthly benefits starting this month. In fact, some retirees could see increases of over $1,000 in their monthly payments. And this law isn't just a small change, it's retroactive to January 2024. Meaning the SSA has already sent out over $7.5 billion in back payments to more than 1.1 million people. For many of these retirees, the average lump sum payment was around $6,710, which could make a huge difference in their financial well-being. So, if you've been impacted by these changes in the past, be sure to check your deposit this month. You may be in for a pleasant surprise. While this is great news for public sector retirees, not all the changes happening in April are cause for celebration. One of the more controversial shifts is the reinstatement of the overpayment policy, which has many recipients concerned. Under this new policy, if the SSA determines that you've been overpaid, whether it's due to an administrative error, delayed income reporting, or any other reason, they can now withhold 100% of your monthly benefit until the debt is paid back. This is a huge shift from the pandemic-era rules, which only allowed the SSA to withhold 10% of your benefits each month to avoid hardship. The reinstatement of this policy has raised alarms, particularly among elderly and disabled recipients who rely on their monthly payments as their sole source of income. If you receive an overpayment letter, don't ignore it. You do have the right to request a waiver, appeal the decision, or set up a payment plan, but you'll need to act fast to avoid any disruptions to your benefits. Another big change in April has to do with how you verify your identity and update your direct deposit information. In the past, you could make these changes over the phone, but that's no longer an option. Now, you'll need to log into your My Social Security account to make any updates, and you'll also need to go through multi-factor identity verification. For some, this might be a hassle, especially if you're not particularly tech-savvy, and for those who don't have internet access, you'll have to visit a local Social Security office in person. Unfortunately, this is happening at a time when the SSA is facing staffing shortages and operating with its lowest levels of staff in 50 years. On top of that, over 40 field offices are slated for closure, and up to 12% of the workforce is expected to be cut. That's going to make it harder to get through to someone on the phone, and appointment availability is already stretching out for weeks in some areas. This is definitely something to keep in mind if you need to make changes to your account or if you run into any issues with your benefits. The bottom line is that the SSA is undergoing some significant changes, and these changes aren't just about streamlining operations, they're also about protecting your information from fraud and identity theft. Unfortunately, these measures might create new barriers for some recipients, particularly those who are digitally disadvantaged or have trouble getting to a Social Security office. Advocacy groups are already pushing for more flexible options to ensure that no one is denied access to their benefits due to these new rules. The SSA has promised that direct deposit changes will now be processed in just one business day instead of the previous 30-day timeline, but again, this only helps if you're able to access the system at all. As we look ahead to the future of Social Security, there's growing concern about the long-term sustainability of the program. Former SSA officials have warned that the continued budget cuts and downsizing could lead to a total system collapse. Some critics argue that this restructuring is part of a broader ideological push toward privatization, which could erode the guarantee that Social Security has provided for generations. It's clear that there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the future of Social Security, and we can only hope that these reforms ultimately improve the system without compromising its integrity. So, what can you do as we head into April? First and foremost, it's a good time to take a close look at your payments and review any letters or notices you've received from the SSA. Make sure your account information is up to date and double-check that the payment amounts are accurate. If you've noticed any changes in your payment or if you've had trouble accessing services under the new rules, please share your experiences in the comments section below. Your story could help someone else understand what to expect. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to stay up to date on all things Social Security, and share this with someone who may need this information. Staying informed is key to making the most of your benefits and ensuring that you're prepared for whatever changes come your way. Thanks for tuning in today and take care of yourself. I'll talk to you again soon.